Welcome back to Workers and Resources. I am going to try and export vehicles via helicopters. I don't know if it works. I've decided that building the connection to the western border post takes too long, and I want to try and see if we can make it happen. Wait. I thought these ones had like fuel connections, and now they don't? I thought that last time I placed this thing, it had a pipe connection. And that was how to refuel vehicles. I guess I'm misreading. I guess I'm misremembering that. I thought that was the way how to refuel helicopters. Get a helipad with a pipe connection. Oh yeah, because it did say not enough fuel for refueling. That's how I figured you needed like a connection with a pipe. I guess you just bring fuel here? Does that work on a normal helipad also? If not, we can just, I guess, put a helipad here, have it connected to a road of sorts, and then bring some fuel over. I guess that will work. Huh. I guess I got it a little bit confused, but if it works like that, that would be quite acceptable. If it does work like that, of course. Let's see. I don't know if a heliport will allow us to export things. We will have to see. But first up, we need to connect it. And I think in this case the road is in the way. So I might try and take down that road and rebuild it. No fire, please. Thank you. Alright. Not sure why it didn't allow that, but that connection will work. And then we get another connection here for fuel deliveries. Then we should maybe be able to export vehicles via this helipad. If it doesn't work, then we can tear it down again, I guess. But I want to try. You, on the other hand, after you've done this delivery, you're gonna go to the depot for now and not do anything. So we'll start gathering up vehicles here. And then we'll buy one helicopter. We probably need a parking space for helicopters. I'm just gonna get one for now. I want to see how these, if it will work. Maybe not next to the prison, because they can probably use that for escaping. Not really, but still. Right here, somewhere. No, yes. Doesn't really matter where that thing is. Could have it on here, basically. It does not matter as far as I know. But it does use electricity, so maybe we can also refuel that one. Yeah, I kinda like the idea of having it up on the mountain. At least one helipad. If it catches fire, we'll be hosed. But that wouldn't happen, would it? So we can have one helicopter maybe running exports. And hopefully the vehicles should be light enough. I think. What can the helicopters carry? Our helicopter construction office with the Mi-10 cargo does have a carry capacity of a lot. Or we could even use helicopters to import Mars 305 buses, but no, I think I want to produce them myself. Now, hull truck. I think we need to check covered hull trucks. because I want the trip to be worth it. I don't want to carry like one personal vehicle per trip. I would like to carry the largest vehicle we can manufacture, which is probably the R&T HEK, right? I don't know. 3.7, 3.5 tons of steel. Some plastic. Way more fabric in this one. Similar mechanical components. Maybe the bus is actually the best one. Let's switch to the bus. But let's make sure we can carry it. MI10 cargo bus. Yes, we can. It is a 3-ton bus. We could carry 10 tons. What is the carry capacity? 13 tons. Yeah. We start exporting stuff to the west, and we get $500,000 US. We should be able to buy a license for the 305, and then we can build that. Vehicles are being parked in there, which is fine. I think once this runs full, it will start moving them over to here. I hope I can. The helicopter says it can move them, so we should be able to use them for exports, right? Worker buses are not assigned here. Let's do that. And the situation on the road construction. Slow because winter. Well, it is progressing, so it's fine. The train is faster. It's already here. But we do have to go through another tunnel all the way over there. So yeah, that border post is quite far away. So I would like to make even more money by getting a better license. And the 305 is my dream bus. It's the best bus, really. There's no better bus in the game. The only way it could be better is if you could buy it with rubles, and that's what we have. We're buying the resources with rubles, and we will produce it ourselves. And then sell the excess to the west and the east. An empire founded on Mercedes buses. Well, Mars buses. That building is full. Still no 21-year-olds without their own flat. These buildings have yet to fill up. There are no complaints in this building except for spirituality, which we can't give them on principle. And on gameplay terms, we can't place anything that would satisfy that demand. But maybe I should give them a dance hall. I was thinking of something in here, but it's way too large for that. Maybe not, maybe later. Another open wagon, sure. Gravel is present. I would like these things to be built relatively quickly so we can see if it actually works. Plus the road to the storage should be built up fairly quickly so it doesn't burn down. And our firefighters can get to it. The residential zoning last time was a few more urban buildings. It wasn't really... I guess it wasn't really that impressive. I mostly spent time placing down the ground texture, which I kind of regret. I kind of want to get rid of all of it again, and I think I will. It's maybe a little bit sad, but I think once you start with that, you have to really micromanage it. And I don't feel like that right now. So we'll remove the ground textures and we'll embrace dirt and grass for now. Maybe individual areas like the factory can be upgraded to a proper ground texture. Maybe the larger buildings need a proper foundation indicated by asphalt or panels, concrete panels, whatever suits them. But right now I am rolling back that change, I think. Especially near the train track, because I don't like how it looks, and getting that one to look neat with default stuff is a bit tricky. 30 waters. I always say wardens, but it's waters. And I looked up the word and it does exist. I never knew the word waters. 30 waters for 42 prisoners, which is more than enough. We did have no escapes last year, and we have switched to the new year, so prison system seems to be working quite well now. 66% of our population does have a TV, and that is continuously growing. So loyalty and happiness should stay quite high. Did you remove the road snapping point? Yes, you did. Very good. How's the helipad doing? Let's also increase that one to high priority, as well as the heliport. And let's see if the default heliport also accepts fuel. I guess it kind of makes sense. You just bring some fuel there and they load it as needed. The amount of vehicles is stacking up, and we do have some of the larger ones now, the larger buses. I think the helicopters will also be able to carry multiple of the small ones, but I'm not sure. I just assume they can. It would be silly if they would only carry one of them. Maybe they load them onto a support. Yeah, like that one. Put multiple vehicles on top of it. Would make sense. Now, do we have any issues? I don't think so. It is currently minus 10 degrees. Heating throughout our city is holding. Struggling down here. The temperature is holding. We didn't put down an underground pipe here, so the temperature and the heat exchanger is somewhat low compared to this one, which has about the same distance, but it's below ground, so heat gets conserved way better. The heating pipes themselves do not seem very stressed. Not sure why that one was showing up as yellow occasionally. But everything looks fine. Might change once we start more of these buildings, I guess. Another heat exchanger here could be useful. And for that we would probably need a heat pumping station somewhere in town. With maybe some space being available in between these buildings. Or over here, potentially. Alright. Heliport. Getting built. As is the factory connection. And over here we're lacking a little bit of asphalt, I guess. I don't think the helicopter will be able to export fast enough. I don't think I want a second helicopter, but maybe. If it speeds up getting the license, it would be nice. And we can always trigger our existing train to do an export. Double click. Because the train depot is now set to the end of the line, if I click launch, it will go here, grab a load of vehicles, export it at the customs house, refuel, and then come back to the depot. So it basically does one run per click. So you can micromanage the export a little bit instead of it having it sit there and taking all the vehicles. Now flying, the helicopter will have to fly all the way to the northeast, which is the export site, I think. Right? It's the corner over there. Nashomo. That's the western border. I do like our quaint little town. Had to work a little bit to make it profitable, but yeah, vehicle factory definitely works. As long as it is Western vehicles sold to the East. Otherwise, you're probably going to make a loss if you're trying to sell Eastern vehicles, if you are not producing the resources yourself. Helipad is done. We will hook it up to our refueling distribution. I think. Unload, please. So we'll bring fuel here. Helicopters assigned to that task can refuel. And once the helipad up here is done, we can buy a helicopter, because we can't do that on this one. This one only would allow buying of resources if you are not in realism mode. What we have to do, we have to bring it ourselves, which is fine. And this helipad shouldn't take that long anyway. It can be done by machinery. But they'll also bring workers there. It is set to high priority, so it'll be fine. I guess we could already use a helicopter. But not really. We do need a helipad to shift it to that job. So at least one of them needs to be done, and that is our helipad. If we get 7,000 US dollars per helicopter travel, and we need 500,000, 470,000, we need 50-ish, more than 50, 60, 70, 70-ish, 70 helicopter runs. Divide that by 2 helicopters. Shouldn't be too bad. At least I hope. Waiting for the train would be way more painful. I do want to see how profitable the Mars 305 is. And I also want to upgrade our infrastructure to said vehicle. That would be really beneficial. Way more capacity, allowing us to hold way more workers. And then when they come back and load unused workers back into the bus stop. Or do we have one? What's your job? Oh, that's just inner city. So all of these workers basically go mostly to the vehicle factory, as you can see. There's a large stream of workers heading there right now. But they basically are being kept occupied, carried around back and forth between the heating plant and this bus stop. Some more gravel, maybe some more asphalt. That might be a rounding thing, but it probably needs some more. Gravel, gravel, and asphalt. After which they will bring workers or an excavator, and that will finish the job. Finally, we have some visitors in the palace. That is good to see. Getting their culture need met. Some of them go up way quicker than others. Interesting. I do like that you can now lock the start of the vehicle but not the end date, presuming that vehicles are still available to be purchased after the fact, after they've run out of date from second-hand market, etc. So that one is nice. Come on, helipad. Maybe bring some workers and speed this up. One more dump truck. Shouldn't take too long. That one takes a little while longer. How's the train construction? Vehicle is busy. This will get slower and slower as time goes on, of course. And we're also doing road construction over here thanks to the helicopters, which is nice. Taking some fuel to do that, but fuel is cheap. Still. Thankfully our infrastructure doesn't have that many vehicles running. Personal vehicles would be maybe a bit more expensive on fuel consumption. I don't know. Alright, we have fuel. Now I hope I can load the vehicles directly. If not, there's no real factory connection for me here. That is too long, unfortunately. Maybe I can make a connection from this. We'll see if it can draw vehicles from here before we try the other way. That dump truck's taking quite a while. It also needs to refuel. It's out of fuel. Well, all resources are now present. Less than 60 work days. So we'll get one helicopter, set it on its merry way. And then, I don't know, make some parking lots for other helicopters. First I want to know if I can deliver fuel here. I assume probably not, but maybe. I never noticed the fuel loading message on the... Well, I think I noticed it, but I never cared for the fuel message on the heliport cargo platforms. So maybe I also missed it on the normal helipad. But I think there was none. No, there's none. Oh, I just got worried because it said airplane parking, but it is a heliport, so it is the right one. We'll get a Mi-10 cargo. We will recolor it for export. Glorious red. That should be fine. Only 200k, cheap. And then what I want you to do is go here. Load any vehicle until you're fully loaded. And then go to the west and export. I don't know why you deleted that stop, but sure. Load any vehicle. And go to the west. Oh, right. Wait until you're fully unloaded. So, presumably that should do it. And hopefully it can draw vehicles from there. If it can't, we have to try and rebuild the factory connection, which might be too long. Or maybe I can just send a truck to deliver vehicles to the heliport. I don't know. Looks like it does not like that. Unfortunate. I don't want to tear down this connection because that's kind of our lifeblood in case we run out of money. I need to send out a train. But then again, I could just take out a loan if that happens. Let's see if I can put a cargo platform somewhere else. Not really. I closed off all areas. Oh, we do have that connection. No, I can try that one. Right. Let's try that one. Does that one hook up? No, it's too long. Damn it. Alright. We'll move the helipad. Get out of here. We'll move the helipad closer. Taking it directly from the factory, I guess. The fuel that was in there will be lost, but that is fine. Alright, so we'll put it closer to where we should be able to hook it up. Somewhere here, probably. I was initially trying to hook it up to this one, and I also read that this road, but yeah, it doesn't draw through the building, so we'll have to use a connection here. And a road connection here. And go back to fast speed and prioritize the construction of these. I will even use our helicopter construction office to start building this. Or at least help. And then hopefully the helicopter can draw vehicles and export them to the west. Let me run the export train once. Maybe it'll get rid of all of the smaller beetles. They should be at the start of the queue to be taken. And they are. Yeah, if we have longer trains that are longer than the loop, we could run into problems as well. Sure, that'll do. The other thing is we could wait until this fills up and then they start putting vehicles on this storage. So then maybe the helicopter would have been able to grab it. But I didn't want to wait, even though we were probably fairly close to finish that one. Rebuilding the helipad is quicker, I think. At least it should be. "13 unemployed people. Not good enough yet. Need more population." I mean, our vehicle factory is still not quite full, but it is getting very close. The productivity is really low for the amount of workers we have. Do we like water? We have no water. That is really concerning, because that is going to affect everything. There's water. We should have water now. Why you not have water? I'm confused. Maybe I should set up running water for the factory area. I don't want any residential building to get it, so it's gonna be tricky. I will probably have to set up a water substation on this area. But why do you not get any water right now? There's water in here. Higher priority. I need to look up what that one actually means. I guess maybe now there's so many people in there, maybe now I need running water. Well, running water isn't too difficult for us to set up. I don't think. I was thinking of setting it up on the mountain. How's the pollution next to our sewage drop-off? There's nothing really, so we could have some water pumps over here, I guess. Run them into a reservoir, and the reservoir then can feed into a water purification plant. And maybe we should set up a bus stop. Anyway, water well. Small one. With room for future expansion. Those ones will go through a water pump, so the water well can provide up to 70 cubic meters of water per day, which I think a small pump can handle. And a large pump can handle, I think, 150-ish. I guess I could have a small pump for each of these, but I would rather use a large pump so I can potentially hook up 3 small pumps into one grid. "57 cubic meters of water per day would not be enough for this." We're using some corners on that one. Even though it flows downhill, I will use a pump. And we'll pipe it into a reservoir of unfiltered water, pretty much. Guess that. Sure, stop production is fine. So that will give us unpurified water, a full water tank full of it. There's no workers necessary up here. I think they can catch fire, but I don't remember. And then we'll purify the water down in this area. Somewhere. Probably even here, and then just have people walk to the work site directly. A small water treatment plant would be enough, I think. So the water treatment plant can handle 120 cubic meters of water a day, which would be 2 small pumps. "10 meters depth seems reasonable. Let me maybe draw it from the other direction. guess we're gonna go for 9 meters now. We'll smoothen out the corner down here a little bit, just disconnecting the pipe here, removing it, and giving it a nice big arch that hopefully next time I draw it connects to where I want it to. So let's correct that. There we go. That'll bring us clean water, and we have to pump that into storage. I hope the pumps run on sufficient electricity with the smallest wires, but we'll see. Okay. We'll use a water tower here to provide some elevation, in addition to placing it up here. No workers necessary for that one. Just construction. Hook up a pipe for this. Probably should move that underground a little bit as well, otherwise we'll run into problems later on. 10 meters always strikes me as nice. Get enough depth going. So if there's terraforming, it shouldn't affect it. Okay, and then we should have a building, a tower, full of water. A water tower, if you will. Meanwhile, our helipad might have finished. So let's re-grab our helicopter and see if that's true. It is. Unfortunately, we have to redo the whole line because I want the loading to be at the front of the queue, not the end. Then you go to the western border, unload any vehicle you have loaded, and let's see if it works now. Now it is directly connected to the factory, so if this doesn't work, then I don't know. I guess we can't use helicopters to export, but why shouldn't it? The vehicle says it can carry them. It can carry 2 of them. Cool. And now if we grab a second helicopter, we can double the speed. Why not? Get another one. Can I copy the schedule over? No. I'll have to wait until it arrives. But yeah, then we'll have 2 helicopters running. Exporting our vehicles to the west, and we should see our US currency rise. Get to work. I'm not going to buy any more helicopters, that should be good enough for now. What I do need is one dedicated covered hull truck though, for chemical imports for our water purification. I guess a big truck would be fine, but I kinda also want to use something a little bit smaller, so I don't know. I don't like these half-ton trucks running around. I guess I'll... something that can be recolored. 2.3 tons. Chemicals. What's very chemically looking? I guess we'll get that one. And I'll take care of bringing chemicals to the water purification plant. Now we just need to worry about running water for our factories, I guess. And maybe that is the reason why this facility doesn't work that well. So we basically get a water substation that only works for, I guess, the prison, the factory, rail construction office, and fire station. Alright, we need to bring fuel to the helipad. I apologize. You want fuel. You are going to get fuel. Let's get a few more trucks. Oil tankers. There we go. Might have to run the train again. Spent a lot of money on helicopters. Running water. We don't need any pumps because the water is going to be fed from an elevated position, aka the water tower, into our buildings. So we don't need to pump it once it comes out. It will just go wherever it needs to. Sewage handling is not going to be automatic, at least not yet. So a small pipe should suffice. What we do need is a switch. We only have two outputs from the water tower, and that's not going to be enough. So we will need to switch. At some point it's going to go to the residential zone also, but not at the start. Even though it probably makes sense to hook up almost all of them eventually. Because water trucks at some point run into capacity issues. Alright. Large pipe. 127 cubic meters, which is about 5 of these. Or 2.5 of these. I will put in another switch next to the main road. About here, I guess. Maybe like that. Doesn't really need to be much water here. I guess, sure, let's put it in like that. I do like to keep these connections as like high capacity pipes, just because we can. And then over here, this last connection will be a small one. And that should provide running water to our factory area. And hopefully double the productivity of this building. I don't know why it doesn't get any more running water. Maybe the drain is too large with that many people. Maybe once the building runs over a certain amount of capacity, the passive supply of like a filled substation is not good enough. Which is fine. April, cold storage is fine, no issues there. Seems to be all running smoothly. And we are making money. We are exporting vehicles to the west, earning us a nice profit. We only need 10 times, 11 times as much. And then we have the license. Just let the helicopters work. Maybe run the train again for another chunk of rubles for us. Refueling. Needs way more fuel. But yeah. We can help with that. We'll set it to like 80%. So helicopters that do want to refuel can do so. Hopefully it'll be enough. And yeah, the water infrastructure for the industrial area does make sense. Same with like hooking up this one. We could have another small pipe just go here and just have this one also hook up. All the industrial buildings do require quite a lot of water because they have a lot of, well, people in them. These buildings, they should use more, shouldn't they? Well, maybe not as much as our vehicle factory. Half a cubic meter of water per day versus 0.2. We have 337 in here, we have 200 in here, so they do use more for industrial purposes. I should get rid of this road. The buses are using that road, they shouldn't. Our coal storage is on fire, which is pretty bad. How is our fire station? Fire station should be in reach. Hello Tycoon veteran, thank you very much for the raid. Let me give you a shout out. How are you doing? I assume you were also playing Workers and Resources? I hope I spelled it correctly. I think I did. Oh, you were playing Farming Simulator. Got it. Hello, Yelsinovich. I hope I pronounced your name close to correct or decently enough. We are currently working towards getting better production license for our vehicle construction, which is the MAS 305 bus. And I've recently started exporting vehicles to the western border, giving us some US currency. And I'm doing that with helicopters. Because if you take a look, I am playing on a very hilly map, and the rail and road construction is underway, but it is taking quite the time. So this is the fastest bit. The slow part is going to start again just before the border, which is another tunnel. Because this is way too much elevation to try and serpentine up a railroad up the mountain, so we're not going to do that. And then we don't have a rail connection available to go directly into the border post, customs house. So we need to offload all the vehicles onto like a parking lot and then drive them the last few meters into the customs house. And I have to set that one up once we get anywhere close to that point. There's no customs house with a rail connection on this map. We only have that one, which we are looking at right now. Kazinshad. And we have another customs house up here. And these are the only two we have. It's a randomly generated map, so we don't have much. And I'm also limiting myself to only be able to export vehicles for money. We did export some sewage, because we had no other choice. But we're not exporting any resources to make money, we're only exporting vehicles. And they are profitable if you're building the right ones, which is building Western vehicles and then exporting them to the East. Makes quite a bit of money. But yeah, as I said, right now we're exporting them also back to the West to earn some US currency. And once we have about 470k, 500k US dollars, we can buy the better license. We have a small rail network with a distribution office. In this game I also decided to not double track the whole rail line, so there's a lot of single track. We do have a pass-in track here because sometimes there were quite a lot of trains on the network that couldn't go anywhere. They were stuck on the loading stations even though a train was already way past here. So we made like a passing track here with 2 waiting blocks to speed things up a little bit. And that has helped quite a bit, even though we don't have a lot of trains running right now. We have some storages on the inside for all of our construction materials, except for asphalt and concrete, because I couldn't really bother with them. But the main construction materials like steel, prefab panels, bricks, boards, and gravel are all available from this block. And they are delivered via train, and then the construction vehicles can just pick them up as needed. And that was mainly for reducing the stress on the customs house, because there were a lot of vehicles going there, and that also disrupted our food transport into the Republic, which we also hooked up with a train, so we're bringing all the basic goods into this warehouse right here. Food, alcohol, clothing, and electronics are stored here and brought to the shopping center for our population. We're not storing meat on site, we're getting that from the customs house as needed. But technically we're storing it inside the vehicles that are parked at the shopping center slash even in the prison there's like a refrigerated truck slowly unloading its goods. So yeah, that's working quite well. We also tried to separate our high loyalty from low loyalty persons, well, inhabitants. But our loyalty is actually quite good, so there's not a lot of people that are disloyal. I am restricting university education to anyone who is loyalty 35% and up. But we have a university education saturation of 92%. So we have a lot of decently loyal people. I could maybe move that up even further, but my thought process is if they're 35% and they're getting educated by very loyal people, their loyalty will increase. So why not make them a little bit more loyal rather than just giving only the very loyal people a university education. That's my thinking. I'm also waiting for these buildings to run full on workers. And they're close to. Then we have 2 more housing blocks available that can fill up. And I will need to put down some more residential zoning after that. Maybe I can put some more houses over here. Speaking of housing, are you in footpath range? Yes, you are in footpath range of 4 residential blocks. So our water purification plant should have no issue getting workers. Seems to be all okay. We are playing on realism mode, so everything will have to be built with resources imported from the customs house. And there's no quick building, so if I click, for example, this pipe and try to purchase it, it doesn't work. In realistic mode, things can only be built with construction offices. And that's why we have such a little quaint town in 1971, because we built everything with construction offices and on the highest difficulty, which also limited our starting cash quite a bit to I think 1,000,000 rubles and 500,000 US dollars. And the US currency was mostly spent on licenses for vehicle production, but also a few migrants at the start to speed things along. But yeah, otherwise our population is quite happy. We still have way more births than deaths and escapes. I don't care that much about escapes, I have to say. So for me, they mostly indicate like if there's an issue with the Republic, if there are huge spikes, and we don't really have that. Well, sometimes we do, but not too much. Let's ignore these slightly higher death spikes, I guess. Those were probably some quarantine situations, so out of our hand. But yeah, overall our birth rate is way higher than our death and escape rate combined. And we haven't had any migrants in a while. Almost since 10 years, I guess. Next up, we want to hook up running water to our factory because productivity is really low. And I think it's because it can't get enough water. We're also supplying water to the substation that is right next to it. But since the water doesn't have any pressure, I don't think it can supply enough water into the building itself. So I am working on setting up an area to deliver running water for our industrial area. And right now we have some polluted water up here, 91% quality. I could pump that one in, but it is way too polluted. Anything below 95% doesn't really count as drinking water. And it will hurt you in the long run, let's put it that way. The trench for that pipe is almost done. Our water tower is already set up. We just need our water purification plant, which probably should have a road connection now that I think about it. That would help. A road definitely helps. Let's maybe assign the helicopters to assist in the building construction, because we forgot the road, but yeah, as long as the pipe is not set up, it'll take a little bit anyway. Infrastructure-wise, our road is still doing fine. We hooked up maybe way too many crossings onto it. Like I have an intersection here, 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 but they are all they're not used very much, so we don't have many traffic problems, especially since most of the people can walk to where they want to work. The only place where that isn't true is the heating plant, and that is for reasons of like air quality. So if I go into our pollution monitoring station and view the pollution levels, the vehicle factory itself is generating some, together with the rail construction office. And right now that it is summer, June, the heating plant is not generating too much pollution, but you can see maybe a slight yellow tint in this area, so during winter this gets much worse. Money's coming in slowly in US dollars. Money's going away quite quickly in rubles. I guess I'll remove the train depot from this list and just run our export train to the eastern border continuously again. We still have quite a few vehicles stored, so presumably that's going to be fine. It's going to be better than running out of money, that's for sure. All the resources for groundworks have been delivered, and the construction site has been filled with workers walking directly to the construction site via the footpath. And the helicopters delivered an excavator, so that one should go pretty quickly. Meanwhile, the road connection should finish up, and then the remaining building construction shouldn't be that much of a big deal. The aesthetics of the game I still really like. It does all look very brutalist and somewhat depressing. It's not very colorful. but it all kind of fits. Another building fire in our warehouse, which is close to the fire station, so shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, the fire truck is almost there anyway, I can see it arriving down here. No problem. Train export, 71,000 rubles per export. Should offset our construction. No problem. Alright. I hope we finish this one soon. It will be the job of this covered hull truck to run exports of chemicals from the customs house to the water treatment plant once it is done. But we have to wait until the building is actually done before we can set up that line. Just gotta wait for a few more resources. Meanwhile, the pipe has been completed, so it's all just that single building that needs to be done. And the reservoir and the water tower give you like a quick indication of where the issue is. If you click here and there's no water in this tower, either you have a problem with the water treatment plant not running fast enough, or you click on the reservoir and if it's empty then you don't have enough water in general, but if you have enough water here but not enough water in the tower, then yeah, it's the treatment plant. So there's like a few points of contact that you can check to see if there are any issues. If you don't have that reservoir and you pump straight into the water treatment plant, things could be... You can still see things, like you can go into the overlay and check the whole water flow. See how much water is transported, if it is at capacity, etc. But I do like the ease of clicking a building and seeing, is water full or is water empty? So that's just a personal preference. Alright. Just installing the machinery, some mechanical components, some steel, 1 delivery each. If it's a helicopter, maybe 2. Yeah, they are using a helicopter. Oh, it can carry all the steel. Good. Waiting for the mechanical components, and the building construction should be a matter of a few seconds. Yeah, that's going very quickly, thanks to the tower cranes. They are such a force multiplier. If there was no tower crane in here, this would take very, very slowly. 28 work days per day instead of 280. Alright, it's filling up with water. We do need to bring chemicals here, as I said. Unload chemicals into this building until fully unloaded. And go. I don't have a sewage connection over here yet, so let me put that one in place also. I don't need a drinking water connection because the building itself will provide that. I just need to make sure that sewage can be carried off from here, otherwise the building will need to be serviced by a vehicle directly, and the internal tank of the building for sewage is really, really small. Alright, and after that, productivity of this building should skyrocket. We're already seeing some improvements in water quality here. In productivity, I mean. Not sure why. Interesting. Not sure why we have way, or maybe because we have two, because we have two water substations now. Now the building gets enough passive throughput. That might be it. Alright, drinking water is a go. So this one should always be supplied with water now. So if we check the water running rate, we're using 0.6 cubic meters, which should drop down once this has filled up, right? Oh no, it's also going over here, so it's a combination of both. Yeah, that adds up. That matches. And we're pumping the water tower full, and as soon as this one is full, the whole system should relax and everything should basically go from red to normal. No more capacity issues. Then once this one is full, everything here will, well, should relax really. There we go. Everything is green. Flow rate is now less than a cubic meter per day for our whole industrial area. And we're now running at full productivity, pretty much. And we're cranking out a lot of vehicles. Remains to be seen what other issues this will hold. Maybe issues with sewage. We'll see. This is probably running full on sewage quite a bit. Yeah. But once we have the sewage tank connected, it should be okay. Unfortunately, getting the sewage hooked up to this building seems unlikely. I might have to bite the bullet and just drag a sewage pipe all the way through the mountain, which is gonna be hugely expensive. Like, mostly construction time wise, but maybe also resources. So that's like 18,000 workdays, 4,500 tons of gravel, 450 tons of boards, almost 1,000 tons of concrete. I guess it's not that expensive, but 20,000 workdays is quite a lot. That's like a project that you can do if you have a lot of unemployment, I guess. We don't have that. Not yet, at least. Okay, so running water has now been established. Basically make our own water supply, and we could hook up everything in the city to it if we wanted to. But since our sewage network is not up to it, we are going to run into the issue where, I guess we are now distributing running water here. The issue right now is if we hook up more buildings, sewage is gonna get overloaded. As you can see, sewage is filling up really quickly. Running water means people use more water. If you ration the water that the buildings get, their consumption is like 1/10 of what it is right now. So the sewage trucks are gonna be really, really busy. I think I have to also do the whole sewage pipe thing. So we'll have to drag a pipe from here to somewhere over here. This is the lowest area, so the first switch is probably gonna be somewhere in this area, and then it can branch off into the other areas. There's not going to be a lot of sewage, I don't believe. Let's get rid of this road. Not gonna be able to get rid of this snapping point, am I? really. Anyway, that is not important right now. We do need a sewage switch, and I wanted to build one here. Sure. And then that one is going to be the main switch hooking up everything together. And it'll have to go all the way over here for 25,000 workdays and even more resources. Let's turn the camera so we can see the pipe. Yeah, I don't want that. That one would work. Let's maybe... Let's throw it the other way, I guess. Same result. $25,000 workdays. It's all gonna be a trench, it's not gonna be a tunnel or anything. It's kind of ridiculous. Well, we kinda need it, otherwise our sewage will overflow soon, so let's put that in place. And start the construction. And then we can also hook up the other sewage connections. So we do have sewage tanks already. We have one here. We have one here. Those are the industrial ones. And those are the ones that need to be hooked up. We'll drop another sewage switch in this area. And that one is gonna be... is it gonna be higher up? I don't think it is, but we'll see what the game says if I try to... Oh, the game likes it. Okay, no, if you like it, game, then we are going to use that. This will allow us to hook up a few more connections. Maybe that one is actually too close. Probably. I will designate one further away. I will make a sub-switch for both of these areas. So we need to look at the elevation for that. This sewage switch is right here. What is the yellow line? That one. So the switch needs to be below that. And then that one is way up there. So we should be good enough if we make a sewage switch here, basically. That's what I'm hearing. So if I were to use like small sewage pipes, and then another small sewage pipe here. And hook that up with, I don't know, a medium one. That should take care of the sewage. It'll run downhill by itself. And since this pipe is all built in one block through the mountain, it's a gradual, slow downward slope. So we don't need to mess around with any of the sewage pumps. We paid attention to the elevation, so it always goes downhill. And if it wouldn't have worked, it would have told us. It would have complained about not being a proper slope. So if I tried to, for example, can I reproduce that somehow? We are... maybe not. Maybe this is not going to be fine. So you can see this one can't really do a connection from here to here, because this area is lower than this one. But if I try something like here, I guess it would work, but only if I could draw it through the building itself. So yeah, the elevation map mode is really handy for that. Gotta get used to that a little bit. If you try to start from here, draw a pipe up there, it can be tricky. You can do it with the pumps, but not always. Alright, we're halfway towards our requirement to get the Mars bus license. But I am gonna call the stream right now. I am moving towards some shorter streams now. So we set up water, running water for our industry, because, well, I want a higher productivity, and we kinda got it. A lot of workers are running elsewhere right now, but once we increase our worker pool, the factory should be buzzing. And next time, I think we'll be ready to actually make some Mars 305 buses. And our main goal, I guess, is to export some of them to the west via the train line. Because we do know it's profitable. So I think that's like a good showcase of just running a whole nation based on vehicle exports. Thank you, Hailstorm. And thank you everyone else for watching. I wish you all a good day. Have a good rest of your Tuesday evening, maybe Wednesday morning. And as always, maybe I'll see you next time.